Well, hello, everyone. Glad you could join us. We just got started and I see people coming in. Fantastic. Hey, this is our second to the last live stream lecture. After next week, we're just going to be meeting up in Zoom with our teams. I'll talk more about that later, but we're getting toward the end of this, right? Sarah, Alex, good morning. Great to see you. Randy, you chimed in. Tremendous. Hope you're having a good week so far, right? Tuesdays are rough, right? It's like, the week is starting, but the weekend is a long way off. I get it. Okay, well then, you know what? Let's go ahead and get started. Today we are talking about change management and stakeholder management. We're kind of putting the two together. They're two different things, but they're really part of the same question. And that question is, how are we going to influence people to take action? Now, this is an internal business communication class, right? Which means influencing people. We necessarily want to influence people's behavior. So, for example, I want to influence your behavior by having you chime in once in a while and say hi and ask a question and answer a question. Therefore, I turn on a little light bulb. That is a form of communication, right? It's more than just words and so forth. So this is how I influence you. But I have to overcome your resistance to influence. And you do have resistance. As we've talked about, you're sitting here in a live stream. They're kind of boring, just this talking head in your face. You've got so many other things to multitask with and so forth. So I need to communicate in such a way that I overcome your resistance and affect your behavior. Well, this is what we're going to talk about today, and this is what your communications plan is all about. So with that, let's get this set up. Okay, and it didn't switch. Oh well, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. Oh, I know why it didn't work. I was actually doing a live stream the other day that didn't include all the gamification and so forth. That was the pros and cons of starting a business. And I turned all that off. So that's why it didn't work. Anyway, organizational change and stakeholder management. Let's jump into this bad boy. We are going to start with organizational change management. And so back when I worked with Intel Corporation, I have a close friend. I'm still in contact with him weekly today. He said change management in an organization is like changing the tires while screaming down the freeway. Okay. And this is actually a screen capture from a video. You can find this video online of these guys who change these tires while screaming down the freeway. It's amazing. Anyway, the whole point is we need to change while at the same time we need to keep the business running. And so this is particularly challenging. Furthermore, it is our natural inclination to resist change. Now, there's a really good video out there that talks about, well, do we really resist change, or is it the kind of change and so forth? Yes and no. I maintain that we really like the status quo, and there needs to be something that really motivates us to change in order to break free from that status quo. A lot of the videos and readings that you have this week will cover that, but let's go over the key elements. First of all, there are the 3C mindset of vulnerability. Let me come on over here and we'll talk through these. So the 3Cs are basically 3Cs that talk about why we tend to resist change. We're going to look at this from a whole bunch of different directions, just so you know. One of them is complacency, satisfaction with the status quo. I see no need to change. So, for example, I've always maintained that one of the worst things that could happen to you is a good paying job out of high school. Because if you have a good paying job out of high school, you're probably not going to go on to college, university, things like that. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, without these additional skills and the degree and the certifications and so on and so forth, your pay is going to remain fairly constant. And so 10 years, 15 years down the road, you're going to be making more or less the same, maybe 3% increase each year. Whereas your other friends who went on to college and university will be earning more. So in any case, the point is, when we're doing okay, we're fine with the status quo. We're pretty complacent with it, and we see no need to change. Another one is conservatism. Okay, conservatism, basically, we want to safeguard that which we have. We're loyal to traditional ways. We don't invest in change. So if there's change happening in your life that goes counter to how you grew up and what you think is important and so forth, we tend to resist. We also resist because of conceit. We don't think that anything's particularly wrong. We don't see our weaknesses. We kind of think that the current state is the best possible state, and so why would I change? I think for me, if I look at these, and I'd love to see what you guys say, I don't know. I think complacency is an issue for me. I tend to kind of see things as, hey, it's fine. I don't really need to change. And then when I'm forced to change, I realize how much I really did need to change. Let's look at some other reasons we might resist change. In an organization, maybe there's unclear direction from leadership. So let's take a classroom for a moment. You guys are all in classes, right? Instead of leadership, say unclear direction from a professor, all right? So let's say you have unclear direction from a professor, right? Well, maybe this professor, let's see, lack the knowledge or skills to embrace the change. So your professor says, hey, go off and do this assignment. And you're like, I really don't know how to do this. And the professor does not give you the skills and templates and resources necessary to be successful. And then they're vague and ambiguous about the assignment. Well, then you're going to be less inclined to really embrace that assignment. By the way, Sarah says her biggest is complacency, but I think it's really been affected by, once in a lifetime economic crisis. Ain't that true? Oh my gosh. Yes, totally true. Sometimes if a professor is not clear or leadership is not clear about what you need to do, you don't really have a whole lot of motivation to do it. At the beginning of a semester, you're kind of fired up and I'm going to give this a try. But then motivation starts to taper off if the leadership or the professor doesn't know how to keep you engaged in things. Inadequate or unclear communication of what change entails and what's needed. So let's say unclear assignments or what you're supposed to learn from the assignment or what skills you're supposed to take away from doing the assignment. If this isn't clear, then you're not going to really invest of yourself in these things. Unclear goals and expectations, right? I mean, that's what it all boils down to. I hate it when it's like this with classes, right? There's other reasons why we may resist change. One is that it affects our reason for being, our raison d'etre, right? Maybe we have some things that we really hold true to, and we kind of define ourselves by these things. And so change would really challenge this raison d'etre. So for example, during a layoff, I've been laid off before. We really put ourselves into our jobs and so forth. Oh my gosh, I need to make a note of that for a video I'm making. Hey, somebody put in the comments there. We put ourselves into our jobs, raison d'etre. Somebody put that in there so I can capture that for my future video. Anyway, so when you're laid off, you really feel like your life has been stripped away and you need to change. You need to go into another career. You need to retrain. But your whole identity was wrapped up in what you had before, okay? Attachment to the established organizational culture or identity. We might feel that this is really where we belong. And so if you change the culture or the identity, it can be difficult to embrace that. Thank you very much, Sarah. I appreciate that. Let's come on over here. Okay. Discomfort with uncertainty and a lack of clarity on what's expected. So this can get in the way as well. And then we've got disagreement with the ethics, right? We might say, okay, there's this organizational change going on, but we don't necessarily agree with the change on ethical grounds. We perceive that there's a breach of an ethical contract in this change that we have organizationally. So, for example, if there's an ethical contract between you and me that, hey, you know what? You have a right to expect me to give you the assignments, to give you explanation of the assignments in a variety of media, and for me to give you feedback and so forth. And then in turn, I have the right to expect you to read the information I provide, watch the videos I provide, and to do the best. This is kind of an ethical contract, right? But if we were to change things up, so, for example, with a flipped classroom, I don't know if any of you are in a flipped classroom. Do me a favor, if you're in a flipped classroom, let me know. That's a real change of how things are done in the classroom. And one could perceive that this is a breach of how a classroom should be run, a breach of an ethical contract. Concerned that the change runs counter to the corporate culture or the vision. So if there are, for example, Salt Lake Community College is working on becoming an HSI, a Hispanic Serving Institution. This is very much in keeping with our corporate culture. There's no breach of ethical contract there. But if Salt Lake Community College were to say, hey, you know what, we're going to start requiring people to take the ACT or the SAT to enter, and it's not going to be open enrollment, that would be a breach of our ethical contract to the community. So, yeah. So I was hoping someone was in one. Yeah, what's a flipped classroom? Okay, so good. Let me go ahead and give you guys a couple points there. So a flipped classroom is, I got to put him somewhere else. Flipped classroom is where in the classroom there's no lecture at all. You're actually working on the stuff in real time. So for example, after next week, we will sort of be in a flipped classroom because we will be working on our comms plans in real time in the classroom. Whereas the lecture part is outside of the class. So instead of lecturing class and then doing homework outside of class, you flip it. You do the homework in class and you do the reading and the materials outside, right? So it's something that we're trying. Okay, let's keep going. You could disagree with the nature of the change, right? There's a lot of really good reasons that we resist change. It could be that we don't believe that change is really necessary or needed. Belief that the change that is being brought about is inappropriate. right? So, for example, if we say that once again, if we were to say that there's going to be entrance requirements, admission requirements for Salt Lake Community College, then that would be a lot of folks disagreeing with the nature of the change because that's not who we are, okay? Let's see, have had one in the past. You think GPT cheating increases that more, okay, Shane and guys, that's actually a really, really good point. There's actually this movement about right now to say we're going to do more of the work in class to avoid students using Chat GPT overly, right? I'm actually encouraging my students to use chat in different ways. I'm going to do a ton of experiments this summer. But that's actually one of the ways that some classes and some institutions are tackling this chat thing, is by saying, we're going to do the work in class. So yeah, actually, Shane, you're thinking like an academic there. You could believe that the timing is wrong, right? It's just, okay, your change is a good change, but it's the wrong time. Or disagree with the way that the change is implemented. It's like, okay, I don't disagree with the change, but the way you're putting it in place, yeah, just is not the right way to do it. So, and then finally, it could just be people are plain sick and tired of change. They're just tired of it. I relate to this one. I really relate to this one because I swear large corporations are absolutely addicted. And I use the word addicted deliberately. They're addicted to change. They're always changing their enterprise systems. They're always updating their processes. They're always changing this, that, and the other. And so there's just this constant churn in the ecosystem, and folks get tired of it. I sure did. Cumulative effects of other changes and other people's lives, right? Shane, yeah, right? COVID made us all tired of change. Okay, this is a really good point, right? Good example, right? Shane, thank you for that example. The idea, when people are resisting the mask or resisting this or resisting that, so on and so forth, it's not necessarily because they're morons, right? It's because I know that the science is slow coming out. We get that. We're always learning new things and we're trying to adjust to it. But there's only so much change that people can kind of adapt to. And after a while, ennui sets in and they're like, you know what? I'm done. So yeah. Very, very good example. Tiffany, I like the idea of learning how to use ChatGPT as a tool. Yeah, absolutely. So I've heard it will source articles that don't exist. Yes, it will source articles that don't exist. It's hilarious, right? If you say write a 1,000 word essay about change management, including 5 citations, 5 references, it'll give you five references, but they're made up. So be aware. Actually, I really strongly encourage people to learn how to use chat. Here, I'm going to go ahead and put another one. I don't know if I did. If you're interested in attending a live stream on how to use ChatGPT in your life and other AI tools to actually help you do things, let me know. Chime in there. I did that live stream about the pros and cons of starting a business. I'm happy to do a live stream about using chat. So let me know if you're interested in that. You should be learning to use AI. You need to be learning to use AI. Companies expect that you know how to use it by the time you join on with them. Okay, so we resist change for good reasons, guys. I mean, it's not that we're difficult to work with. And that's been peeking in there. We have really good reasons for resisting. So, let's talk about how to recognize resistance. By the way, Shane says, my dad used to redo his resume and write cover letters for job application. Yeah, yes, chat is really good for cover letters. It's good for resumes, but don't rely on it with resumes too much. Cover letters, on the other hand, I'm all for the cover letter idea. Absolutely. So, I know it's distracting, but I like that one. Okay, let's come back to recognizing resistance. First of all, we've got passive. By the way, everyone, right? We all do these. We all resist change, and we all exercise what we're about to show. So we're not talking about other people. We're talking about us in general, right? So very good. Let's see. Like to learn more about it? Good. Okay, then maybe I'll put something together. I just need to remember to do that. So, passive resistance. Passive resistance is when you agree verbally, but then you don't follow up, right? There's no follow through to what you're doing. So, failing to implement the change, you'll procrastinate, you'll feign ignorance, withholding, standing by, allowing the change to fall. So, for example, and I'm not calling anyone out. This is just something that happens every semester. It's inevitable, right? So I'll ask folks, hey, are you ready to work on a team? Yes, I'm ready to work on a team. Okay, because I'm going to put you on a team and over 40% of your grade is based on what you do as a team. Yeah, I'm good with the team. Let's do the team. I'm committed, right? They're verbally saying you bet. But then when I put them on teams, no one contacts anyone, right? There's kind of radio silence. Folks procrastinate reaching out to each other. They wait until the assignment is due, and then 3 minutes before it's due, they start working on it. When things start to fall out of place, oh, I didn't realize we were supposed to do that. Oh, I didn't know. And it's like, yeah, you did, but you didn't want to, right? Just standing by while others are doing the work, right? All these sort of things. This is passive resistance, all right? Passive resistance is problematic, to be sure, because verbally they say, yeah, I'm totally committed. But in action, in deeds, they're not committed, and it slows things up. Let's see. Christopher says, this is literally everyone when bosses add things to your job and don't add pay. Yes, I'm with you. I'm totally with you, right? In fact, passive resistance, one of the forms of passive resistance that I practice is if I think that a change is not going to last, I look at the change and I go, there's no way that's going to last. It's not the right change. It's not the right time. Nobody's supportive. Then I just fade into the background and I let the change fade away. Because I'm not going to put myself in a tizzy adapting to it only to have it changed back, right? So yes, I totally get what you're saying, Christopher. If they want more work, they better pay more money. It's true. I agree with that. Totally. Okay, but then we have active resistance. Active resistance is actually better than passive, okay? Active resistance can be constructive, right? It's when I say, hey, I don't agree with that. I'm not sure that's the right direction. Have we thought about this? Listen, Rebecca had this idea. I think Rebecca's idea is the way to go. In other words, what you're selling me, I'm not sold on, and I'm going to actively, in your face, negotiate, discuss, and push back. That's active resistance. As somebody who is in charge of change quite often and somebody actively resists, I'm good with that because then we can have a conversation. Then we can get down to business and maybe even find a better solution. Now, there is destructive active resistance, such as ridiculing or being critical or recruiting others to your side to kind of create this cadre of people that, are opposed to the change, I'll still take that over passive resistance, because even though you're ridiculing and being critical, I can at least then use the 5 whys. Why is this concerning? Why? To get to the root cause and maybe come up with something that we can both live with. So that is active resistance. Okay, so now here's the thing. We're going to do these changes. You guys are putting together comms plans. You're not doing the comms plan yet. You're going to start doing the audience analysis here fairly soon. And we'll talk more about that. Don't worry. But you're going to have a lot of folks that you need to influence and stakeholders and so forth. And we need to understand why stakeholders might resist us or why they might support us, and how to convert those resisting stakeholders into supporting stakeholders. So to do that, let's first define stakeholder. Anyone with a vested interest in the outcome of an endeavor. Okay, so for example, I've got Nutshell Brainery, my company here, right? Who has a vested interest? Who is actually holding a stakeholder, who's holding a stake in the outcome of this? Well, my wife, to be sure. My wife is my primary stakeholder because I need her support. I really need her support, mostly because I spend far more money than I make, and I need her support for that. And it takes a lot of time. I needed this whole room, right? Can I have a room, sweetheart? Yes, you can have a room. Okay. So I want you to think about who your stakeholders are. You're in college right now. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and put on the 2-minute timer. I want you to answer this question. Who are your stakeholders when it comes to your education, and what do they want out of their support? They're giving you their support. What do they expect in return? Okay, so who are your stakeholders in your education? You're in college now. And what do they expect in return for their support? Let's play with that for a moment. And we'll come to this one. Okay, let's take a look at these. By the way, ton of great ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh my gosh. Fantastic. All right, let's look at some of these. So, let's see. So partner and children, Shandell, absolutely. Your partner's a major stakeholder, your kids as well. They want, your parents want you to be a productive member of society. Yeah. And so that's why they're going to help pay, they're going to help support and all that sort of stuff. My partner and she expects me to do well in my classes and find a career that I'm happy in. Christopher, I super like that one, right? Because it's like, hey, listen, you're going to have to spend a lot of time with class, and that means you're not spending time with me. And I want you to do well, therefore, and I want you to be happy, because if you're not happy, I'm not happy, and I'm not having any of that, right? I love it. That's really good. Teachers, yes, I am a stakeholder, right? I am supporting you. And just so you know, Tiffany's right. Listen, you really have to tick me off. And including ticking me off is just being incommunicado, not communicating, not doing the assignments, anything. At a certain point, I'm like, all right, you're dead to me. I can't, you haven't responded to my emails. You haven't been doing the assignments. I don't even know if you're on this earth anymore, right? And then 3 days before the end of the semester, they contact me and say, hey, is there any way I can still pass the class? And it's like, no, that ship has sailed, right? On the other hand, if you're engaged and working with me and so on and so forth, and toward the end of the semester, you're rocking a C, and you go, is there any way I can turn that into an A? I'm going to be like, yes, there is. You've supported me. I support you. Very good. Parents want you to be a bigger and better person. I like that. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, I get the sentiment, right? Partners, friends, and family, says Alex. Expect you to be productive, achieve acceptable grades. Yes, that's the paycheck they get in return for their support, right? Does future family count? Yes. That's a cool thought. I'm even going to give that an extra one, and I know we have some other extras in there. Gosh, I don't know if I've done that. So yes, okay. In psychology, we talk about our present self and our future self, and the actions you take today are either helping or hindering your future self. And so by that logic, your future self could very well be a stakeholder. Okay? Because tomorrow I need to wake up and meet that future self. And if when I wake up and I didn't do what I was supposed to do today, that future self is going to be like, Lon, you're a dick. You're screwing me over here, right? So yeah, I totally would count future family as a stakeholder. I like it. I like it a lot. Kiara, the individuals who gave me a scholarship, they expected me to make... Okay, Kiara, that's a super good example, right? Scholarships and employers who do tuition reimbursement programs and so forth, they are key stakeholders, right? I like it. Randy, I'm sorry, running late. No problem, Randy. No problem. My family expects me, it says Stephanie, want you to be successful, right? Yes. Yeah, Chandel, Kiara's dead on right there, right? Yeah, Chandel, you are your own stakeholder, right? Investments toward the future. Yes, very, very good. Okay, so then let's come back over here then. And why did that not work? Did I have... It's not... Okay, well, I don't know why it's not playing ball, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so you just mentioned a whole bunch of reasons why your stakeholders support you. It's interesting. None of you said, 'cause they love me. Now, for the record, they do love you. So in case you were wondering, right? But you actually were pretty, you looked at it much more as a return on investment, which ultimately we do. Even for those whom we love, we expect some sort of investment. Even if that return, we expect some sort of return, even if that return is your happiness. I mean, I know it sounds all, wishy or cuddly, wormy, softy, fuzzy, okay? But my children's happiness is the best reward I can possibly get, right? Therefore, I have a stake in their future because I want to see that. And so, yeah, you've got all kinds of reasons why your stakeholders support me. Sarah, my dad jokes that he expects me to put him in the good nursing home. Yeah, I like that one. So I have a brother-in-law who says, hey, I want you to do well because I'm going to live with you in my latter years and pee on your couch, right? So, yeah, I get it. So we know why they're supporting education. But now some stakeholders may not support us, okay? It sounds like you guys are surrounded by, for the most part, supportive people who share in your vision for your education and a better future and so forth. But sometimes I know people who their partner is not interested in them going back to school because for a whole variety of reasons. Sometimes it gets pretty weird. I know employers who will not work around your schedule to help you go to school. So that's a way in which an employer is not supporting us. Oftentimes we are surrounded by stakeholders who are like, no, that's not going to work out for us. And so we need to try to figure out how to bring them over into the champion camp. Okay. My mom says she wants to buy a house with a giant basement for her to build a kitchen. Nice. The sort of the in-law apartment sort of thing, right? Yeah. And my father will be retiring in this home right here. His room will be right there, more than likely. Okay, so let's talk about how we manage these stakeholders. You guys have done a tremendous job listing your stakeholders. So let's talk about ways that you are probably already managing them and why it works and other things you can do as well. Remember, one of the things I like to say is you already know everything we are going to talk about. My job is to help you understand what you already know. So you're going to see a lot of things that you already do. Let's talk about why they work so you keep doing them. Okay, so first, prioritize. Not all stakeholders are equal. Now, you can't ignore the stakeholders, but they're not equal. So, for example, I am a stakeholder, and for many of you, you have a partner who's a stakeholder. We are not equal, okay? Your partner has priority over me. So if your partner says, hey, listen, I really want to go on this family trip. It's going to take us away for this week. And you're like, I can't do that because I have an assignment due. Your partner is going to say, well, then you need to figure out a way to do the assignment early or to use a late pass or to get someone to help you or something because we're doing this, right? And when you come to me, I'm going to say, yeah, you're doing it. Let's make it work. So you want to make sure that you understand that not everybody has an equal pull in your life, and you need to understand who's the boss in terms of our stakeholders. You also want to understand kind of what their role is in this project. So you're working on a degree. That's a 2-year project feeding into a 4-year project, and who knows, maybe more, right? So who's responsible for getting the work done? Well, in this case, you're responsible for getting the work done. Therefore, when you pointed out that you are your own stakeholder, you are your own stakeholder. Accountable, you're also accountable, but some people you need support from. You need support from parents, you need support from partners, you need support from friends, from scholarships, from employers. So you need to figure out whose support you need. Some people you're going to consult just to let them know, hey, how is this affecting your schedule and so forth. So for example, you have kids. Some of you said your children are your stakeholders. Your children are your stakeholders, but they would be in the consult range. You'd say, hey, listen, mom has, dad has, this responsibility, this assignment at this time. So just so you know, you're going to stay at your friend's house for a couple hours while I'm doing this team meeting, yada, yada, yada. You're not asking for their permission. You're not accountable to them, but you need to consult with them to let them know what's happening and to ask, how can this work around with your schedule? If you've got soccer or football or dance or who knows what, right? Consult can also be asking advice and so forth from others. And then you have inform, which is just folks that you're telling what's happening, right? You're accountable to your employer if they're doing a tuition reimbursement program, but they're also informed. Here's my report card. It's C's or better, B's or better. You're informed. Give me my money. All right. You also want to make sure that your stakeholders understand what's in it for them with them, but instead of what's in it for me, what's in it for them. Relate your needs and your objectives to their business needs and problems. So for example, your partner, Alex, I think it was, expects you your partner expects you to get good grades and to be happy in a role that you enjoy. What's in it for them? Well, if you're happy, you're going to earn more. You're going to be happier around the house. You'll be able to do vacations, blah, blah, blah. You will be a pleasure to be around. That's what's in it for me, right? Your kids, I want you to do well because I want you to put me in a good nursing home, or I want you to live in your basement and I want to pee on your couch. That's what's in it for me. I have a couch to pee on. Okay. So you want to express, the value of what you're doing in terms that have value to them. Show data, right? Your folks have probably never asked for data around, hey, does a college degree really help your earning, potential? Yes, it does help your earning potential. So in this case, you probably don't need a lot. But now, Kiara, you talked about scholarships and others. You have tuition reimbursement programs. This is where you're showing data to show that you should still earn their support. Here's my report card. Here's my reviews from my professor. Here's my recommendations. This is you presenting data to show that their continued support is warranted. And then you also want them to see a future state. Imagine, dear partner or future family, imagine a state in which we are financially secure, we have a retirement fund building, we have time and money for the occasional vacation, we own a home, we have 2 cars, a chicken in every pot, things like that. Imagine this state in which money is not the constant worry it is in our lives, and we can move out of our frickin' parents' house, right? That future state can be really powerful in helping people muster the support that you need in whatever project you're doing, okay? Then you want to show a map to success. I'll give you an example. My daughter, Sierra, she got her degree at Salt Lake Community College and is now at the U, and I'm helping to pay for her bachelor's degree. And I'm like, okay, how many semesters are left? How many classes are you taking? I want to see a map, right? Because I get changing your major, and yes, she has changed her major. I changed my major, so you're allowed to do that. But each time you change your major, it adds at least a semester or two on to your program. So show me how many classes you have to take, what semester you're going to take them, how much this is going to cost, and then report back to me that, yes, we're on schedule and you're passing the classes. That way I see an end date for this end result. And folks just want to see progress against schedule. So, when you're uploading or downloading something online, and there's the little, wheel that spins or a progress bar and so forth, that's just there to show you that the system has not frozen and that it is making progress. Well, your stakeholders want to know that the system has not frozen and that you're making progress. So show them a map to the end state. And then set really clear expectations for what kind of engagement and resources you're expecting your stakeholders to give. So for example, with my daughter, she has made it clear what her major is. I know how much money she needs. She's explained all this to me, more than I've explained it to her. But, the expectations and resource requirements are clear. The same daughter got married last year. Kiara, you were there. Kiara did the photography. It was fantastic. And so we had to sit down to kind of say, okay, what kind of wedding are we looking for? What kind of help do you need from me? What kind of engagement? What kind of resources? What kind of money? What kind of work do I need to put in? If a stakeholder has a clear understanding of what's expected from them, then they are going to be far more willing to engage and help you out. Okay? And then, as I say, make sure that they know that progress against schedule. That progress against schedule is really helpful. When is this going to be done? Where are we? What do you need? Things like that. Okay? And then involve them all throughout the process. Make sure that you're touching base with them frequently, that they're involved, that they feel like their hands are dirty in this, right? And that it's not just your project now, it is now their project. So, for instance, when you guys are doing your projects, I'm getting the team charters, I'm getting the drafts and so forth, and I'm helping you do it, and I want to help you do it. And after a while, I really feel like I have a vested interest. I'm interested in seeing the end product as well. So I am more inclined to give you extra help and extra meetings and so on and so forth so that we can get it done. So you want to make sure that your stakeholders start to feel like it's as much their project as it is yours. Manage their time. Make sure that they understand how much time and effort will be required. And then finally, don't forget to thank these people, and frequently. I mean, you really want to make sure that your stakeholders understand that you don't just take their support for granted, that you appreciate them and that you recognize the value of what they have given you in pursuing this project. So not just at the end of the project, all throughout the project, thank them for their support, recognize the value that they've provided, and they will be far more inclined to continue to help you out. Okay? And so there we go. That is here. Let's come on over here, and I'll pull this on down. Tiffany, you are welcome. That's going to get, that gets 2 right off just because A, you listened, and B, you did it, right? And it's wrong button, Lon. There we go. Okay. More motivation. That is excellent. I'm very glad to hear that. And let let me just end on one last note. I say this in the video that I make about stakeholder management. Careers can be made and broken through good and bad stakeholder management. I could tell you stories, right? When I have done my stakeholder management well, the results have been superb. When I have done my stakeholder management poorly, it has resulted in some of the lowest points in my career. So really embrace this. I really invite you to embrace it. Caden, thank you for being more than just a professor, but someone who cares and is motivating. And thank you, Caden. I really do. It's hard work doing all this. I like it, but it's still work. I'm actually working on a video right now that talks about how work is work, even if you love it. We have this myth that we tell ourselves that if you follow your passion, you'll never work a day of your life. That's BS of the umpteenth degree. And so I'm working on writing the script right now for a video that really says work is work, even if you love it. So recognizing the value that others provide really goes a long way in keeping your stakeholders engaged. Okay, so I'm going to stick around for any questions, comments, anything like that. It's your birthday. Hey, Shendel. Okay, so first of all, happy birthday. And I'll go ahead and share then. Tomorrow is my 35th wedding anniversary. Okay, so that beautiful woman that you see each time we do the 10 that gal there, 35 years marriage. So we're pretty excited. When we come back on next week, it's going to be our last live stream lecture. We're going to be talking about credibility. And then I will also give you a rundown of how the rest of the semester will go, because we're going to switch over to Zoom so that we can start working on our final projects. So after next week, the lectures, they're done. Now it's taking everything that we've learned and actually applying it to a real-world communication strategy. So we'll talk more about that next week. But just so you know, we're getting toward the big stuff. And that should be the fun stuff. Should be the fun stuff. Yes, it is sweet, Stephanie. She's very sweet. So there you are. Like I say, I'm going to stick around if you have any questions, any comments, if you want to discuss anything. Otherwise, we are set, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you very much for your engagement today. It was awesome. It was awesome. See what we've got here. Many celebrations are in order, are they not? We'll see you, Shendel. You bet. Stephanie, we'll see ya. Have a great week. You bet, Kiara. Christopher, you too. Have a fantastic day. Sarah, you too. The afternoon. It is going to be afternoon, isn't it? It is afternoon. Have a good one, Alex. Discard. Any questions? Looks like folks are dropping off to go have lunch, have a good week, good day, and so forth. You too, Julianne. We'll see ya. All right. Well, it looks like folks are dropping off, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Of course, if you have any other questions, you know where to email me. And until we see you next week, have a fantastic day.